This is Bigfoot. Bigfoot is real. This is not a man in a costume. This is a real, probably supernatural, ape-like human hybrid, potentially crossbreeded with an alien. This is totally, totally true. And Bigfoot has something to tell you. Bigfoot says Taiwan is a country. His source is, dude, trust me. We're going to come back to this in a moment. Hey everybody, how's it going? Long time no see. I know everybody's been missing me. Let me know if the sound is okay. Let me know if I still look amazing. I'm told by totally non-biased people who I pay on the street that I look amazing. So I take their word as gospel. Before I get started and before I explain to you why I just showed you Bigfoot, I want to make a quick comment to somebody in the chat here. Welcome back. I assume that means you guys can hear me. All right, let's see. So, J Dragoon in the chat has some comments, some questions, and he's getting flamed quite a bit by other people. Essentially, his point seems to be you aren't allowed to criticize the Chinese government in China or you get in deep trouble. And then he says, if the people in China are allowed to go online and make public social media posts how the CCP is horrible and not get in trouble, then I'd love to see it. That's what he says. And most of the responses that he got, oh, Chan, your hair looks great today. Thank you. I just combed it. Most of the responses that he got are people who are, annoyed at him, basically talking trash. Well, Jay, I think what these other guys are tired of explaining to people, and this is part of their exasperation, is the following issue with what you're saying. It's true. You can't go on social media and start making a million posts about how horrible the CCP is. That's pretty true. In order for us to do what you're saying, in order for me to advocate for, hey, let's allow everybody to go on social media and start making a million posts about how horrible the CCP is, in your words, I would need something first. And what I would need is for you to prove to me that less unity is a good thing for China. Because the thing is, as I explained to a reporter recently, the CCP itself means nothing in particular to me. I don't care if it's a group of vegans running the country or Democrats. I don't care who it is if what they're doing is working for the Chinese people. The CCP, the CPC, whatever you want to call them, has the overwhelming support of the Chinese people. We know that they're the only government which was able to pull China out of the horrible 100 years of imperialism that it went through. And we know that they're keeping the country pretty unified. So those are some positives about the CCP. Now, if you want to start breaking that unity, right, which is it's a valid request, then you kind of need to show that that would be a good thing for China. When I look at my own country, what I see is gridlock, constant protests everywhere, everyone fighting over just the most basic things. And I see a country that seems less unified and less stable and happy than it used to be. Now, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that's totally incorrect, but it doesn't seem like it's a very good thing for the U.S. these days. So for me to get behind what you're saying, I would have to have some evidence, probably proof, that making China less unified is a better gain than the gains that it gets from less criticism and more unified sense. I haven't seen that. Now, I think that that's what people want to express to you, but comments are not the best place to do that. So, carrying on. If you've been following the news recently, you probably have heard that Nicaragua has decided that the People's Republic of China is the sole representative of all of China, including the island of Taiwan. And to you idiots out there who think that when I say the island of Taiwan, that means I think that there's only one island, read a book, okay? Nobody's going to sit here and explain everything to everyone every single time. When we say the island of Taiwan, we mean all of the territory which is claimed both by the PRC and the ROC. It's not that complicated, guys. So I want to show you a little bit about why I'm making this video in particular. A lot of stuff has been going on, and I could have talked about a lot of things. I haven't really been focused on making videos recently. I haven't even been doing research. I've been really just taking a break. But this is something that's very interesting that's happened. So let's take a look at my wonderful desktop over here. Okay. So there's a lot of reporting about this this change. And one that I think is pretty useful here is this one by Reuters. Now, Reuters is not great, but they do tend to be a bit better than BBC and CNN a lot of the time, I've noticed, when it comes to China. Now, I first noticed this. Excuse me. My voice is a little low, huh? All right, let me turn this up a bit. A little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Okay, that should be good. So I first noticed this story on Google News, which is it's quite a good place for me to get news because it's very, very biased, or at least I should say the articles that they feature and recommend are very, very biased. So it's a good place for me to see what's the kind of narrative that's being pumped out and how are they pumping it out? What words are they choosing to use? And one thing that I noticed with the reporting is that almost all of it was presented as Taiwan loses Nicaragua, or Nicaragua drops, or a fatal blow done to this. It's all this negative thing has happened. And the implication with that, of course, is that siding with the PRC on something is just inherently bad. That's obvious. I mean, we don't even have to mention that. So, so that's one thing that really got me interested in this. And that's actually why I titled this live stream "Abandons Taiwan" in the thumbnail, because kind of making fun of them for this wording. It's sort of like if you have two sports teams and one player goes to another team, and that being described as that player has abandoned his team rather than he's made the move or the other team has gained that player. It's a very particular way to mention things, because there's really three ways to describe it. One is, Team B has gained a player. One is player has moved from Team A to Team B, and the other is Team A has lost a player. And that way is by far and away the most common way that it's represented. Now, this article that I have here doesn't do that in the title, which is one reason that I actually clicked it. I was like, okay, maybe this is a little less dramatic. So China and Nicaragua reestablished ties in blow to U.S. Oh, and Taiwan also. That's another reason I like this title. U.S. is listed first, right? Now, why is the U.S. involved in this at all, one might wonder, and it's a very good question. However, with this case in particular, the U.S. actually should be listed as a party involved with this change, as this article, but not many others, will point out as to why. So let's just skim through this. So they reestablished ties, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Boosting Beijing and a part of the world long considered the United States' backyard and angering Washington. So all of South America and Central America, and one might, even say all of North America, is all considered to be either the United States or sort of under the sphere of influence of the United States, even though if you look at the actual, history between the United States and a lot of these countries, it's not exactly been peachy. Anyway, so U.S. backyard. This is not why the U.S. Am I alive? Is this thing on? I'm gonna have some coffee while you guys think about it. Or as I like to call it, Western Coffee Bean TCM. Alive! Finally! Sorry about that, everybody. Partially that's because due to the layout of my apartment, I'm actually using Wi-Fi instead of Ethernet, which is kind of an issue. That's my responsibility in all of this. Other than that, not sure. Okay, what the hell was I blabbering about? Let's take a look. Oops, here we go. So anyway, the island of Taiwan has a dwindling pool of international allies. Dwindling means spiraling downwards, and it has been spiraling downwards, as I pointed out in another video. And this is just another country, the latest one, to abandon any notion of Taiwan being a country. So people who support that idea, this separatism, will just discount this part of it completely. They like to build this idea that there's some movement growing to make it an independent country, but there isn't. I mean, there just literally objectively isn't one. So now somebody in the comments said, what the hell does this have to do with the U.S.? You haven't told us why. I'm going to tell you in a second here. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Here we go. So only 14 countries, which is counting the Vatican, Holy See, as a country, which is fine. Only 14 countries have stayed with Taipei, and that's only because of pressure from the U.S. and Taiwan's dollar diplomacy. Blah, 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 blah. Then they talk about if there's money going back and forth, etc. And the interesting thing is, very few of these articles mention something that just happened, which is, I think I have on another tab here, which is, here we go. It happened the day the U.S. State Department said it had applied sanctions to, some unrelated thing in Nicaragua. And there's other sanctions going on from the U.S. So this is why it involves the U.S., is because the U.S. loves to use these sanctions as political control, which is, again, totally its right to do. That's fine. But these types of things have consequences, geopolitical consequences. And one of those consequences is you lose your ability to pressure countries when you basically, do too many things to them. They think about, well, maybe I don't need you as a partner after all. So these sanctions and other types of pressures can definitely backfire. So that's the real reason that this actually should involve the U.S. in the first place, is not because the U.S. cares about Taiwan being independent and wants to have its military bases continue all throughout the world, including Asia. That's one reason. But another reason that they actually should be mentioned in this type of article is that the U.S. has definitely contributed to this happening, which is a narrative that you don't really see very clearly represented in the news. It's always just like Nicaragua has just, decided to do something for some weird reason, and the U.S. is unhappy. Well, you did put a lot of sanctions on them. So I'm sure they're sitting there thinking, why are we trying to kiss this guy's butt when he's going against us, right? And meanwhile, you got China over there saying, well, I mean, we'll help you out. So from a purely political point of view, without any sort of morality or wishing one side to win or whatever it is, just looking at things objectively, yeah, it makes sense that countries will abandon another country, the U.S., when the U.S. is hostile towards them. And some level of hostility, like sanctions, is always going to happen. But there's a tipping point, and I believe that that's what happened with Nicaragua from the U.S. point of view, at least. They're de-incentivized from working with the U.S. when they have this these sanctions and other hostile attitudes going on. But why am I, what did I bring up Bigfoot for? What does that have to do with anything? Well, the interesting thing is, when you look up how many countries there are in the world, according to worldometers.info, there are 195 countries. 193 that are member states of the UN, and 2 that are observer states, Holy See and State of Palestine. Now, we don't have to get too hung up on what exactly that means, because it doesn't really matter for this point. But if we do a little bit of math, which I'll break out the trusty calc for, we can see that 14 countries, including Holy See, recognize Taiwan as an independent country. That's 7%. Okay, 7%. So I want to explain to you very clearly, when I get comments in my YouTube channel or wherever that just they watch my videos explaining to them why objectively, literally, Taiwan is not a country by international law, by their definition, by the definition that the world uses, their answer to that is, good video, but Taiwan is a country. Or Taiwan is country, they are best. Or mainland China is West Taiwan. Or I even have some people who comment, mainland China is East Taiwan. So they seem very confused. But I want to explain to you what those people look like to me after they've just watched a video just objectively laying out facts. This is just the facts of the case, and then going completely against it. They are siding with 7% of the world, we could say. And that really makes me think of some interesting parallels, because 7% is also the amount of Americans who have a great deal of trust in media. 7%. Kind of interesting. But what's even more interesting is 7% is also how many people think that Bigfoot is not probably real or probably not real. Bigfoot is definitely real. That's 7% of the people that were polled in this survey. 7% think that Bigfoot is totally real. Definitely. And that is exactly what people look like to me when they watch a video about facts and then just say the complete opposite of those facts as if that's some sort of argument. So maybe Bigfoot is real, but I haven't seen any evidence to that, and I'm only seeing evidence against it. And 93% of normal, of humans are normal and think, well, Bigfoot doesn't seem to be real, based on what we think is reality. And if we look at Bigfoot, either you see a man in a costume here, or you see a mystical ape monster. 7% of you think that this is not a man in a costume. This is a mystical, magical monkey. That's pretty much it. That's what I think of when I see this. I think, oh, another country has decided, for, of course, political reasons, that's why countries do things. For political reasons, they've decided, you know what? We're just going to back the big dog here, which is China, PRC. And that means, again, that Taiwan was more of a country a month ago than it is now. It's only becoming less and less. So I've made a chart to help these people, to help them understand the answer to a very complicated sounding question. But it turns out it's not that complicated. So let's take a look here. This is a little logic flow chart. And what it's going to help us do is determine if anything in the world is a country or not. Anything. You can check to see if a rabbit is a country. You can check to see if the United States is a country. Whatever you want. So the question is X a country? Well, does it have a government? No government? Okay, well, it's not a state. It's not a country. It's just nothing, right? It's just something else, a rabbit. It does have a government? Okay, well, does that government have land? No land? Well, then it's not a state or a country, is it? It's just a government of nothing. But if it does have land, then it is a de facto state, which is not a country. That is a state. Okay? Now, but wait a second. What if it has passports? What if it has an internet TLD, a top-level domain, like IamAcountry.cn, .us? Does that mean something? What if it has a military? Well, if it has all those things, it still is just evidence towards it being a de facto state. Okay? Now, does a majority of countries recognize X as legally sovereign? Yes or no? No. 0 countries recognize them, or only a minority do. Well, then it's just a de facto state. Yes, majority of countries recognize X. It is a de jure state, a country. Okay, so let's go back to the land. It has land. That means it's a state. Is that land claimed by a country? No, it's a country. Okay, so this gets a little weird if you don't use an actual example. So let's try the United States. Is the United States a country? Does it have a government? Yes. Does it occupy land? Yes. Okay, we know it's a state. We know it's a de facto state. Does the majority of countries recognize it as legally sovereign? Yes. Is the land that it's on claimed by countries? Let's just pretend that France claims the United States territory. So let's say yes, the land is claimed by France. Which has the majority of land ownership recognition? In this case, it would be the United States. So again, it is a country. It's really that simple. I'm sorry that people have a hard time following this, but this is how you know if something is a country. So let's try with Taiwan. Is Taiwan a country? Does it have a government? Yes. Does it occupy land? Yes. That makes it a de facto state. Does it have passports, internet TLD, military, police? Yes. That means it's a de facto state. Is that land claimed by an outside country? Why? Outside meaning outside of this government. Yes, it is claimed by the People's Republic of China, which is a country. Okay, so it is claimed by the PRC, which has the majority recognition of land ownership. 93% of the countries on Earth, at least, depends on if you count Holy See or not, say that the PRC has it, which means this is the PRC. The PRC has majority recognition, which means Taiwan is still a de facto state, not a country. If you can't follow this logic, you probably shouldn't be watching political videos. I'm sorry. I did go through it a little quickly. You can slow it down a bit. But if you're one of those people who, those 7% Bigfooters, flat earth weirdos who email me and tell me viruses aren't real and UFOs are controlling everything and we're all secretly alien reptiles and that Taiwan's a country, if you watch this video and you still don't understand why it isn't, I can't help you. You're free to be yourself. You can believe this all you want, but I don't want to hear about it. And your argument of, no, trust me, it's a country, literally sounds exactly the same to me as, no, trust me, we're all reptile aliens. Bigfoot told me so. That's just literally what you're saying to me. So, do I think it's good that Nicaragua has changed its mind about who is the legitimate owner of the land of China? Do I think it's a good thing? Overall, probably slightly good. I would say it doesn't really matter that much. It's just another country out of the vast majority that already do it. And probably that may help Nicaragua out of some of the pinch that they've been in, etc. Personally, I don't really care that much. I don't have a strong side in this civil war that China has. I think both sides should be given the benefit of the doubt, and that, look, if Taiwan wants to declare independence, finish up the civil war, take over mainland China, and say, hey, we're China, and then the world recognizes them as such, I mean, they're free to try it. I never say that they can't do that. That's fine. They have the same right and responsibility as my country did during the Civil War, right? When the American Civil War, we had to fight, right? We had to fight for the Revolutionary War. We had to fight for the Civil War. China has the same right. Taiwan has that right. Their government has the right to take up arms and start attacking the government. Oh, so anyway, now that I've said those 400 vastly important, great tips on how you can get rich today, I hope you all saw that and understood every single piece of it, because I'm not going to repeat it. So now you know how to become a billionaire in 3 hours. Damn connection, huh? All right, I hope I'm back. I hope I'm alive. I'm making hilarious jokes here. All right, this stuff isn't free. Looking at the stream, looks like I'm still somehow magically not streaming. This is going wonderfully. Going wonderfully. Oh, I'm alive. Something is happening. Why am I typing? Hello, Nathan. Very good to see you again. It's been a month since you last posted a video. Yes, I've been whatever the opposite of busy is. Taking a break. My God, this thing is so reliable. Anyway, I trust that you guys got all those great financial tips, and I showed you that list of the top stocks that are going to just boom tomorrow. All right. I don't even know where I was with the Taiwan thing. I was babbling and rambling. And, you know, there's so many disconnects that I keep getting distracted. So maybe I'll just read some of y'all's comments. Let's see. James, do you hate UK for what it has done in the past? No. I'm not a hateful person. I've been to the UK a couple times. Nothing wrong with it. Traveling British people get kind of a bad reputation because of their attitudes sometimes, but the country, I think it's a lot better now than it used to be as far as internationally speaking. And it's very hard to hate a country for... Am I disconnected again? This is very, very fun. Oh, I'm back again. Off and on. This is wonderful. What was I saying? I better say it quickly before I disconnect again. Don't hate the UK. Don't hate any country, really. I'm not a hateful person. I don't go around looking for reasons to hate people. It's hard to blame and hate a country for their past. It's very tricky logically to get away with that. I think that there have definitely been some great achievements and contributions by the UK or Britain, but they also screwed over a lot of people in the world, that's for sure. So I don't think the world should be about finding reasons to hate people, but in finding reasons to come together, you know? And part of that is getting rid of the very biased way that some people communicate. The BBC is obviously state media that has a lot of incentive to back the U.S. and hate on China, etc. So I stand up against that. But no, I don't hate the UK. I'm not really doing much wrong, to be honest with you. It's adhering to its allies. It stands by the U.S. and everything, which it's supposed to do. That's what it has agreed to do. And I'm disconnected again. I don't know what's happening. Oh, now people are saying that they can hear me. This is really fun, guys. I love this. He can't read our post. Damn it, you're right. Can't read them. Music. Needs a little music. Well, unfortunately, YouTube doesn't allow that kind of thing. I can hear you typing. Oh, okay. Good. I am fine. I assume, Monica, when you said you are fine, I assume that what you're saying is I'm super good looking. Should try Twitch. Slightly better than YouTube. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I tried to sign up for that Twitch. I couldn't even understand it, and I just didn't really care enough to go through with it. Here's a wonderful comment from one of these haters. Nathan Rich is very rich. He makes a fortune in China. Do I? Do I really? Don't feel that way. Feels like I make a fortune in America through investments, and I spend all my time doing YouTube videos for what amounts to essentially minimum wage. That's basically just a waste of my time financially, to be honest with you. But, you know, you can have your perspective. That's fine with me. I really don't need to sit here and prove to everybody who I am. Monica, you are cool. All right. Any other comments for me? I'm annoyed by the connection, so I'm going to head off and ignore more Bigfoot lovers. We're here for the financial advice. Honestly, Jenny, I have actually considered doing a financial advice video because it's something that I think there's a lot of quick, easy, basic steps that people can do to help secure their future financially that I think is very much missed in this current discussion. I don't get how Taiwan, not country, but Palestine. Well, it has to do with recognition. That's it. I mean, country is a word that has a meaning. Some of the people who commented on those other videos tried to do a gotcha on me by saying, like, well, by your definition, then the PRC wasn't a country until 1971, right? And their point there is that it's only coming from recognition, and therefore couldn't be a country before that. Now that has some holes in it, obviously, because the UN didn't exist in the 1940s. They had the League of Nations, and before that, things were done differently. So it has evolved. But considering the way that we judge if something is a country or not today, it's actually irrelevant. It's more about what the majority of countries declare a country. So the PRC was a country when the majority of countries said it's a country. That's what country means. When they celebrate their independence, they aren't, or in my opinion, shouldn't be saying, this is the day when we became a country. I don't think that that's what they should be celebrating. If they are, they should be celebrating, this is the day when we established this country. They were always a country as long as the world recognized them as such, right? Anyway, brah, I'm Chinese Canadian. I think you're either brainwashed or paid well. I am paid well. The U.S. stock market is a great way to get paid. That's how I've been paid since before I even made a single video. That's why I retired in 2018. And in fact, the job I retired from, I only took specifically because I wanted to work in China so that I could get to know Chinese people better, because being a tourist in China is very limited in how you can get exposure to actual Chinese people. So in actual reality, the last time I had a job that I needed for work was, for money, was several years ago. So apparently I'm brainwashed, which is fine. I'm brainwashed by the concept that, like, hey, I live in China and I look around and I'm not seeing this nightmare that I see described on BBC and CNN. I don't see it. Sorry. What I see is rich Chinese people who have multiple cell phones and trade them in, trade them out, driving Teslas and shopping at places that are ridiculously expensive, feeding their family, growing and growing as a country, and people who aren't always 100% happy and have a lot of complaints. Some of them, a lot of them, very valid. In a country that isn't perfect, but it is moving in the right direction. That's my opinion. And I do think that it gets treated unfairly internationally. And a lot of that happens from my country, something that I comment on. So if that makes me brainwashed, so be it. I'm brainwashed. Mexican American, I think Nathan has big cojones. No comment. All right. Anything else you guys would like to yell at me about or accuse me of or profess to know about? that I'm a paid asset who's secretly getting super rich by these videos, which totally explains why I didn't even do one for a month. Is this my vacation time from my big employers? I mean, try not to think too much. Just accuse. Make more videos, please. Marie, I will try. Honestly, I have considered giving up this channel so many times. It's really painful to keep going sometimes. But I will do some more soon. CNN is fake news. Chinese state media is also fake news. That is one way to look at it. They're quite different, though. Nathan, you say one thing, but your eyebrows suggest something very different. Okay, well, talk to my eyebrows. I'm just so happy that the connection's still going. I just feel like talking to you guys all day now. Free China. It is free. How's your studio coming along? Will you be producing more content? It's not coming along, and I will be producing more content. How's your new business? Horrible. It's still just me, and I'm pretty much giving up on building a business at this point, though always keep your options open. China is already free from the corrupt KMT. Fair enough. If I got 50 cents for every pro-China comment I made, then I should be a billionaire by now. Here we go. Oh, this is J Dragoon. I think you're kind of going against your previous comments there, person. There's no one-size-fits-all government that will fit the entire Earth. It's time to grow up and realize that each nation needs customized systems that pair with their own unique histories. That's almost word for word exactly why Chinese government today is working for China. It's a very, very customized government. It would definitely not work if you transported it to America. It wouldn't. It works for Chinese people. This is the government that they built. Did you hear about the Solomon Islands accused of provoking the recent riots? You know, one thing that I think a lot of people don't like about me and my videos, even I think supporters, is I tend to not comment very much on what countries do. That sounds weird. Let me explain. A lot of times people say, oh, you should make a video about the work schedule in China, or Amazon employees in America, or whatever. And when I look at those things, I just think that's not really what I'm focused on. I don't want to focus on every political thing in the world. I just don't want to. I want to stick to things that I'm actually interested in. Otherwise, it's just going to spread me too thin. I'm not interested in what Taiwan's doing specifically. I don't care. To me, it's part of China. That's the official recognition. And to me, it's interesting to look at the history of things and see where can we go from here to improve international relations in the world. That's really how I look at things. And this is something I think people get annoyed with my channel, but I'm sorry. I don't want to make videos. I personally don't want to make videos about some people being mistreated in some country, my own country or another country. I just think there's already enough of that, and there's not really enough focus on how do we make this earth a little bit friendlier between its organs. Nathan, come to Chengdu and I'll shout you 火锅. I love Chengdu. This is a fact. When I was looking for places to move from Beijing, my number one choice, of course, was to go back to Chengdu, which is pretty much where I got my start in China. I love it there. Unfortunately, though, international travel kind of sucks from Chengdu because you always have to fly to Guangzhou or Shanghai or Beijing if you're going to certain places. Nathan, you don't have to have running commentary about the things, just something interesting to acknowledge. I don't know what that's in reference to exactly. China's atheist. Hope they put all... Oh, God. Some of these comments. YouTube says, this comment is held for review. And some of them are a little drastic, guys. Calm down. F the CCP and speech control. Okay, good point. Tibet is on my bucket list. Looks beautiful. Do you know any foreigners who have earned Chinese citizenship in China, Nathan? Well, citizenship, do you mean a green card? If so, then I do, yes. If you mean a passport, I don't think that they do dual citizenship. Chengdu has new airport for international flights. Okay, do they fly to LA? Do they fly to New York direct? I don't know. My Chinese teacher in middle school believed in Jesus. Okay, cool. All right, well, I think we're running thin. Ever been to Qingdao? Of course. I've been to Huangdao and Qingdao. There's a big movie studio down there in Huangdao that I went down to. What do you think about Peng Shuai, the tennis player? In short, I don't. But to me, it just seems like another news story that's devoid of facts. A lot of speculative news. And that kind of opens up the whole can of worms that is feminism, Me Too, and the implications for that type of movement in China and outside of China and everything, which is a huge subject. I do have a lot of thoughts on it, but that's for another day, obviously. Who wants to fly to LA and New York, though? Well, I'm from LA, so me. Although, to be honest with you, I haven't gone back to America in a few years now because just terrified with this COVID infection. Love what you did with your hair today. It looks great. Thank you. I appreciate it. I've got a bald cap on. My afro is combed down. Ever think of coming back to the U.S. to live? Yeah, all the time. The U.S. is a great place to live. In my opinion, if you're outside the cities and you go be a cowboy type of person, living out in the woods or some nice farm type of area, I think it's nice. But there's a few reasons that I don't. And if I did do it, I wouldn't do it anytime soon. What do I think about Assange? What do you mean, what do I think about him? Lucky guy. He's being treated well. What do you think I think? It's, again, this is the realm of stuff that I don't really like to get into because it's just general political stuff and it's not that interesting to me. I kind of observe it, see where it goes. It's what the U.S. has done and wants to do with Assange is at times counter to what the U.S. wants and claims to be. So to the extent that it is, I don't support them taking those actions. That's the sort of general political answer to that. That's how I feel about everything, pretty much. To the extent that China, the government, does things that are outside of what it wants and claims to be, then I condemn them for that. I think that something that really needs to be adhered to in the world is that countries should declare what they are and stick to it. And that includes every country. All right, I think this is the final disconnect. Well, it's sort of connected again. All right, Monkey King. Monkey Kong says, I love you, Nathan. I love you too, Monkey Kong. And with that, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everybody. 再见.